been the one to claim, and I don't want to be needed, but now I guess that's all changed. That's why I get mad at your phones, cause I don't want you to go. No, I want you to stay. Hey everybody.
Hey.
How are you guys today? I'm Pete France.
Alicia Thomas, EXP.
Marcia Cephas, EXP Realty.
And
Good evening, guys.
Welcome.
To Beyond the Surface, session 5.
Yes. So what we doing, Alicia?
We are talking about home inspections tonight.
Okay.
I am excited. You guys ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to dive
Yes.
You ready to rock and roll?
Yes.
This is a show geared towards real estate. I can't take it. Real estate and a deeper approach in understanding things of real estate and based on real estate, connected to real estate. It is very important that we give this information out so that people have a better understanding and idea of how a transaction should go, might go, or maybe not go. We go over law, we go over rules, we go over things that people that normally do real estate transactions don't know. Your average buyer or your new agent sometimes. So we cater to many people on a more basic level, but then we go deeper. So that's why we're here. This is episode 5. Episode 5, and we're excited. So, Marcia, take it away with our topic.
Yes. So tonight's topic is getting a home inspection or waiving the home inspection. And as you all know, in this market, a lot of people will waive a home inspection. Most realtors, especially if you plan to live in the home, would suggest that you not waive your home inspection. But sometimes when you get in a desperate situation, you will waive your home inspection. So I think we should start off with talking about the pros of getting the home inspection. And then we can talk about the cons of getting the home inspection because
Or not getting one.
Or not?
exactly. Well, we can talk about. I'm only talking about getting the home inspection first. Let me give you a pro and a con.
So,
Getting the home inspection, I think the pro is that you want to know what's wrong with the house, right? So, knowing what's wrong with the house is very important, especially if it's something that will cost you dearly in the long run if you happen to purchase the house. A con of getting a home inspection might just be that you ask for too many things to be repaired on your inspection list, and the seller goes with a different person because they refuse to tighten up the doorknob. So,
what is your take on it? Would you suggest people not get them or get them?
I suggest if you are planning to live in the property that you get one. The investors normally don't want one because they want the property for a good price. So if you are planning to live in the home, I suggest you get the home inspection. If you have a contractor in your family and you know you can get repairs done, I suggest you go light on your repair request, if at all, because you have somebody who can make the repairs and you know that. If you don't, then you should ask for anything that would cost you money that you don't have.
Alicia?
I always suggest to my buyers to get a home inspection. I absolutely never suggest that they waive them. As Marcia stated, a home inspection not only tells you the good and the bad that's wrong with the house, a lot of times they will also go over general maintenance that has or hasn't not been done. Home inspections does not cover cosmetic work, so rarely do we ever see a report that covers cosmetics. But another topic that home inspectors will also cover is how some of the mechanics work, such as the furnace, such as the hot water tank, such as the HVAC system. Most home inspectors will walk through there. They'll show you where your shutoff valves are in case something breaks or floods. They'll show you how to turn those things off. So a great home inspector will also educate you as a first-time home buyer or a move-up buyer, as we call it, if you're trying to buy and sell. Most home inspectors, we always say you don't have to necessarily be completely on their heels throughout the entire time, but it's great to come in pretty much around the same time they get there and have those conversations. You want to allow the home inspector to, yes, inspect the home, but the home inspector will also walk through the entire home with you. Again, the mechanics, how it works. They will also point out, even, and then from the investor side, like you said, most times they will not get a home inspection. However, I have had investors that has gotten one, and we had one property that was being completely eaten up by termites. So at that point, we didn't know how bad the termites were, but we could clearly see they were pretty bad. So we did in that instance piggyback and get a termite inspection, but at that point, the termites were just way too bad to even try to mitigate. So of course, we terminated the contract because the whole house pretty much needed to be tore out from the basement to the roof. It was that bad. So home inspections are very important. Home inspections should not be taken lightly. Home inspections generally, I had another inspection where my buyers was not happy with me. They got one, but unfortunately they used an inspector that they recommended. And I could quickly tell the guy was not as seasoned as he should have been. And there was a lot of things that I could tell from my expertise that the home inspector did not point out in the report, which of course would have left them in a complete dilemma had they tried to terminate the contract because of the way they wanted the contract written. Well, they got a radon inspector by my inspector's recommendation, but when my inspector walked in, he completely hit the roof because of everything that he saw. Well, when we muddled back through the report, there were so many things that was missed. So when my inspector came back in, inspected the home, we also found a lot of water damage that was never reported from the first report, but you could smell the water. So we knew there was water damage somewhere. The sellers, the seller had this great big old desk sitting in the basement that was like super heavy that took 2 people to lift. Well, myself and the inspector moved that desk. And behind that desk, at that wall, was completely a soft, looks like just the wall was just complete mush because the entire wall was wet behind. I mean, when we did the water test, it was so bad that you could literally just poke your finger through the wall.
Now, can I ask you a question? I'm sorry to jump in, but I'm only asking you this because in my 7 years, I've not actually even seen a home inspector move a box.
We did. Because
well, no, I was just saying that they are taught not
correct.
to.
Well, the
And so
reason
that's
we,
reason I'm
the
saying
reason we,
they don't
the,
move.
correct. The reason we moved it was the house was empty, and when we went in the basement was completely empty. The house was empty, so it completely struck us strange that that desk was sitting in the position that it was sitting. So, from my expertise, and I have taken a class to be a home inspector, I just never sat for the Maryland State exam. So, I'm able to speak from what the state of Maryland requires, and also from an educational standpoint. So that desk was strategically placed there, and myself and the home inspector could tell from our expertise that that desk was sitting there for a reason. So we both was like, no, we moving this. So we literally picked the desk up, moved it because again the desk was super heavy, so it needed both of us to move it. And I'm glad our expertise versus we just not moving this kicked in because that entire back wall was complete mush. So the water levels on that wall, there was definitely a water issue. So of course we had to end up, the gutters needed to be replaced. There was windows that needed to be replaced, and the whole wall actually had to be torn up. Now that particular property was also purchased by an investor a few months prior. They also had to get a radar mitigation system installed as well, and we'll talk about what radon is on another episode. But in that instance, it's when you understand what the state of Maryland says, you understand what the rules and regulations says. But in that instance, because the house was empty and we could tell that that desk was strategically placed there to potentially hide a latent defect, we chose to move it, and we was glad we did because otherwise, yes, we chose to move it because otherwise my buyers would have ended up being an issue once we got to the closing table because they would not have repaired that water damage, and then we would have been left fighting later because that latent defect was not disclosed in the disclosures, nor did the seller or the buyer or the seller nor the agent say anything. So it leaves it correct. So right, exactly. So it's up for, I guess you could say it's up for debate on whether the listing agent knew or whether the seller knew, because again, it was a flip. And he had just purchased a house 3 months ago. So, the verdict would be out on whether he actually knew because he had never lived in the property. But it still would have been up for him to disclose. But the happy side of that, that it was the bright side of all of that
Right.
was that was the largest inspection request that I have ever written in my career. I think I ended up writing up a 3-page inspection request that needed to be completed. There was that many repairs that dropped out, along with a full radon mitigation system that also needed to be installed. The radon levels were so high, it actually threw the radon test out of proportion. I mean, we thought the radon had broken machines, and we knew
Got a lot going on.
correct. That house was just like, what is this? And I begged them not to purchase the property. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day when buyers just do whatever they want. And we literally argued all the way to the closing table about that property, but they had to have it. And luckily, I think in that instance, I believe the gentleman that purchased the property, I think he kind of waited until someone purchased the property to do repairs, because he was more than willing to fix those 3 pages worth of repairs along with the radon mitigation system.
All right, y'all want to hear what I got to say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, y'all know I normally talk.
I know, you probably dying inside.
I'm crumbling. No, I'm just playing. I'm good. So I'm trying to create more balance. So y'all can talk. So what I think is, I never do any. I always suggest and set the expectation in the beginning. That is the first thing. I never not suggest to do a home inspection for anyone, even an investor, because sometimes you need to understand how the house operates, and you just cannot find, the previous owner knows where the water comes in, where the gas comes in, all of those things. And if you don't have a home inspection, sometimes you can miss some very important things. So there could be a water filtration system, there could be a house vacuum system. There could be so many different things that could be of issue later, and at least have them explain what it is and where the things that you see are and how they operate. I never go on I don't go on home inspections anymore. I feel that I'm too. I don't go.
I'm sorry, I'm just my nephew. My niece on there too.
Okay, she's a star power girl. No. So anyway,
no, I love all the people, so they keep tuning in.
So what I'm gonna say is, I never suggest anyone to buy a home without an inspection. But I also hold up. It's my go, girl.
No, it's your go. It's still your go. Why do you keep saying suggest? We don't suggest. We only suggest that they get them. But if they don't want to get them,
then they don't have to.
Okay. You keep
That's on them. But let me say this. My suggestions are strong, because at the end of the day, it is my license on the line. And if it's a problem with that house, the question that they're going to ask, did your agent recommend a home inspection?
Which you did.
But they always get amnesia.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be clear. Like, people are not honest when they're going through something.
Correct.
People are not forthright.
Correct.
You can put everything in writing, and then they'll claim they don't understand it.
And
I've been through things that make me understand that people are not to be trusted in the best day.
Correct.
But if you cover your tail at all times in every way, you don't have that to worry about. As much as, because I document everything every day, whatever I'm doing. So I've learned to do that, because people are not always in their happy place. They're not always remembering. You're not always hitting all the cylinders when they're excited. So you have to kind of replay the situation after you're going through the term. Like, I'm having a home inspection. I personally don't go in home inspections, and that's what I was going to. I do not go in them. My assistant or a licensed agent that I have there goes through the home inspection with the inspector. I have done too many rehabs. I have been through too many house renovations, and I feel like sometimes things that I would brush off as important might be important to them. And by me seeing some things like water leak in the basement, they might freak out because the mother had a flood and she never recovered. But for me, it might not be bad, and I don't want to dumb down the issue. Now, what I will do as a mature agent after the home inspection, I review the report with the other agent. I let the other agent and the home inspector and my client go through the home. Afterward, I review the report with them. I most likely am on the phone.
Who are you representing at this point?
The buyer. I don't go to home inspections if I'm the listing agent. And that's another whole topic. I'm not showing. Some sellers want their agent there, but I feel it's a level of disrespect to the buyer.
Correct.
No one wants your stuff. They're not going to say something that you don't know is already wrong. There's a reason that they need that time to go through that house to make sure that this is the house for them. This is not a $5 purchase at 5 and below. This is a major purchase. So if it's a major purchase, we need to treat it as it is. And you don't want anyone to disqualify your emotions and your going through the process. You don't want them to take that from you, so why take it from someone else, Mr. and Ms. Seller?
Correct.
So that home inspections are a must with me, pretty much. If you're an investor, you don't have to do them. That is your choice. I do a lot of investor deals, and it's almost half and half. It might be 75% that don't get them and 25% that do. Your new investor needs to get them because they need to understand the process at a whole nother level. So that's just my take on it. As
I'll piggyback on something that Pete said and sharing the last story that I spoke about. I also strongly encourage all of my buyers to get one. Everybody has thus far. And depending on the property, I also strongly encourage that they also get a radon inspection. And again, we'll talk a little bit later about what radon is. So in that the last home that I spoke about, that client literally fought me. I mean, she argued with me because she did not want to get a radon inspection. Everybody was telling her what radon was. She felt like it wasn't needed. And that was one of those instances, like Pete said, where I kind of voluntold her that she needed to get one. And because she was also going to live in the basement was also one of the basements that technically was not a livable basement. So it was imperative, but she really wasn't getting it. She just wanted to pretty much say what she even this was throughout the whole transaction, on what she wasn't going to do. And I kind of demanded that she did because I understood the safety behind it. And that's the piece that I think was being lost in translation with her, because she was listening to these other people. And that was the home where the radon was so high. Now, I've been working with my inspector the last few years. So his equipment, I know for a fact is state of the art. And I also know he just purchased this equipment a few years ago because he does his own radon testing from his own office. The radon levels were so high, like I said, he literally thought the machine broke. It was completely off the chart. It was so high. Like it didn't even, the reading was, we had never seen anything so high. So in that case, a full mitigation system had to be installed. But that was one of those times where I was glad that I was forceful, because I would have hated to have seen what the outcome of that would have been. And with the understanding that not only herself, but she lived with her parents. Her parents was also sickly as well. And the dad was really sickly. So, you know, for those that don't know, radon is the oldest colorless gas. And again, we'll do a whole segment on that. But as agents, sometimes we just have to be a little more forceful when we understand the client's best interest. We always had the client's best interest. So in that instance, I was a little forceful, but I was okay with her being upset with me.
I mean, you're doing your job.
Correct. That's my job. And I was okay with, I mean, she was mad, she pouted, She didn't speak to me. Like, she was really
But
angry.
she was doing the most.
Correct. She was
but-
in, I mean, I can tell you a whole little story about that, but she definitely was doing the most. And in the end, they still wasn't happy that those issues were found.
So I'll talk to you about issues being found and the buyers not doing anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So with a lot of these flips, hi Tyrone, thank you for coming on. With a lot of these flips,
Like and share, please, you guys. Like and share.
yeah, like and share, and thank you for tuning in.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. So with a lot of these flips, and it doesn't even have to be a flip. It can be whatever. It could just be somebody that put an additional in the home. When you get your home inspection and you realize that a lot of work was not permitted
Mm-hmm.
work, you can clearly see all types of neglect and flaws within the workmanship, the quality of the work. And you get the report, and it clearly shows things that I know I pointed out because I'm the queen of pointing out. And you still say, I want the house. And I'm like, but, the toilet was like hanging down almost into the living room. Yeah, but I want the house. My uncle can fix the ceiling, right? And so at that point, I get to a point where I'm making sure I have it in writing. I don't care what you try to say you didn't understand. You're going to understand it because Marcia says most things in plain English. A kindergarten can understand some of the things I say. So I'm going to make sure I understand you correctly, that you see this toilet falling out the ceiling, but you still want this house. If you say yes, then we're moving forward. I'm not going to say I'm not working with you because you're already by this house with the toilet falling out the ceiling. But I have warned you and I have advised you as an agent. But some people still want to move forward, and it scares me when there are not permits pulled, when there is major work done. That scares me, especially if it's anything electrical, because I don't want your house to burn down when we clearly know.
I mean, it's important that you understand because a lot of rehabs are going on, you guys. Renovations in Baltimore are like on the high, and it is important that you understand. Even if I don't know if they pull a permit or not, but it is up to you and your agent to do the due diligence to make sure. Not only leave it on your agent, you need to do due diligence for yourself.
Right.
It is a joint effort, a marriage. Like, you see what you can find, let them see what they can find, or find out who did the work. Get their license up, just to find out. You might want something done later. You don't know, but it is good to have more information than less. And like Marcia said, a house could burn down just because someone did not do their due diligence and someone didn't pull permits, or they did. And sometimes there are certain things that you don't have to pull permits for. There are certain issues that you don't need, someone to come in and sign off for things. But in a lot of cases, I am actually in the middle of doing a flip, and it has taken a very long time. The challenge that I've had, and it's just what it is. I am in real estate. I have done a lot of deals. I've done flips, and this one particular flip that I have to pay for. I mean, it puts you in a bind if you don't understand the business. This one flip, the first contractor promised to pull permits, and we paid them. They ended up not pulling them. I am a licensed agent. I ended the job. I mean, they left. But we couldn't do anything about that. We lost money, and that was it. And you lost a considerable amount of money. But, that is the cost of doing business. That is some of the lessons that you learn. You will learn hard lessons in real estate, and some of them are not so favorable. But then when you win, you can win big as well. So you have to take the bitter with the sweet and embrace all of it. And I feel like the bottom line of this segment is get a home inspection if you're a homeowner, if you're buying a house to live in. Really, I'm not going to cut no corners about it. If you're buying a house, you need to know how it operates, what's right with it, and what's wrong with it. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That's what I'm saying for Pete. That is my opinion.
That's mine too.
And
what you
that's
do with
what
your
it
report
is.
is totally up to you, but you should at least.
And you don't have to request anything. Most of the time,
You may not ask for anything, and everything's not.
I listen. I say it's 100 things probably wrong with this house. We gonna ask for 50. That's how I set the expectation. And then they start thinking of what's major and what's not major. Well, light switch cover is not major. I'm not asking the seller to put a light switch cover on the light. Now, if you want me to put it on, I'll put it on the report.
Right, that's what I had. to
My
do.
assistant
Right
will put it on there. I'm not,
That's not-
but that is not my recommendation when you need the furnace service and you need a patch in the roof, or you want a new hot water heater, or those are my priorities. If you want to, it's totally up to you. But if you feel that you are willing to take the risk,
I want to
then
ask
that's
a
fine.
question. So
ask Alicia
I am, because she likes to talk. So Alicia,
today.
so listen.
Today.
So suppose your buyer, say you got the home inspection, there's, I don't know, 13 things wrong, nothing really major, honestly. But your buyer, for whatever reason, because then whatever, somebody's in the air, whatever the case may be, is trying to get out the deal by saying, I want them to fix it all. And of course, you know, it's things that are considered petty or whatever it might be. How do you manage that?
Only thing you can do at that point is educate, because at that point they do have the right to terminate. You can educate, you can let them know. You know, I just had a home report I just wrote up, I guess probably about a week or so ago. And there were a few things that needed to be repaired, but one was a window. And it was the seal was broken, not the window was broken, the seal. But she wanted it on there. But I made it clear to her, they're not fixing the window. It's not broken. I understand the draft, I understand the seal, I understand the moisture. They're not fixing that. I can tell you now, they're kicking it back. And lo and behold, it kicked back. So the sellers did fix everything but that window.
Okay.
So once they kicked it back, she just kind of said, okay, because we educated her. It's not happening. I didn't dance around. Oh, maybe they think, nope, they're not doing it. I'm letting you know that now. It's not important. I get that it's important to you, but from a home inspection standpoint, it's not important.
That should be a deal breaker.
That's not a deal breaker. So she was okay with it. But I've been on the other side where I was on the seller side and they did the home inspection and they instantly terminated. And we were at a loss, like, what is this?
Did they even send you the report?
They sent it when
Sometimes you don't have to.
she
You
sent
don't
the
have to
report
send
when
it
she
now.
terminated, but we was in awe. Like I didn't see that coming.
Mhm.
So she didn't want to talk to me. I'm like, tell me what you saw. Tell me what they said. Like, tell me
And it's
something.
only fair
And
because
it's
you
only
want to
fair because
let the next person
Correct.
know.
Like, we didn't know. We was in awe. Like, we was not expecting any of that. Well, it turns out there was a gas leak in the house. Now, mind you, my seller,
That's major.
we had no idea. Now, mind you, my seller had already moved out. She'd been in the house, I know, 30 years easy. So for all intents and purposes, she had taken care of the house. But of course, there's always things that you don't see. You know, you just don't see or fix certain things over the years. So when she called me, and grant you, the home inspection had been done like 2 days or so before I even got the termination. So this gas leak had been going on since the report. Inspector never called.
Well,
The listing agent never
How
called.
much leaking though? Because I was
It was
told,
leak. It had to be removed.
Okay, I was told all like
It
there's
completely.
always like a small
No,
amount.
no,
of
no.
gas leak.
This completely had to be removed. The entire meter had to come out. Like, everything had to be removed. It was that bad. And I was angry as an agent and as a person first
Thank you.
because I was not notified. You should have notified me when you were there with the inspector.
Yeah,
Do
that's
you
major.
really, right?
Like,
do you
But
do your
really,
best, do your job.
correct? Like,
Do your job.
we was taken back. We had no idea. And like I said, my seller had been gone for a few weeks at that point, but she was, coming back and forth, check the mail and that type of deal. So we had no idea that it was even there. We would have rectified. I mean, it's a gas leak. So the seller, the buyer's agent still really wasn't communicating. She wasn't really telling me anything. And grant you, when she finally sent the report, it had to be like 9:00 on a Sunday night. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And my seller
You
at
think
the
she
time,
was avoiding you?
correct. So she had
But what?
for what? Now the seller had already moved to Harford County. So of course I'm calling her. So of course we all jump in our cars to get to the property. Like, we have to deal with this. So we ended up calling BG&E, and they did come out that night. So the whole box had to be replaced, and then there was also a leak from the hot water tank.
No, she's not here. I'm sorry.
So, you know, as agents, we say all that to say
No.
inspections are very important. We never know what may drop out, but we will educate you on things that's required versus things that drop out that's not required, or what we consider cosmetic. And again, most inspectors do not put cosmetic items in there, but just because it's in a report doesn't mean it's a deal breaker, nor does it mean it's major enough that the seller will even entertain it.
Because you're doing too much.
I'm answering questions. Thank
What
you.
they say? What is the question? Tell the public. The public want to know the
That's
question.
okay, Marcia. Go ahead, please.
But anyway,
I'm on the podcast.
So,
Just come on. Just come on. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
Just come.
But those
Just come. I can't do someone to
with the list.
Okay. I gotta go.
God forgive me.
What's wrong?
Go ahead.
Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
I didn't have nothing to say. It was supposed to be you. I was doing the interview.
You doing that?
Yeah, I asked the question, and then it was.
Bottom line is, I don't have nothing to say because it's not up for discussion for me. You're gonna get an inspection. That is it. There's nothing else to say to me. I don't have no stories.
Oh, let me tell you something. And I don't deal with a lot of investors. My investors, thank goodness, are not looking for fix and flips. They're looking for like tenant occupied Section 8 type properties. For those who want to do this, I think it's called, what is it, walk and see, or it's some kind of
inspection.
bogus.
Right. It's
Walk
basically
through.
No, you
almost
can't
like-
say bogus.
It's not bogus.
You can't
say
say-
It's
you
that.
can't say
not
that.
a licensed home inspection.
You don't know that.
Hold on, you can't.
You
say
have
that.
to say allegedly.
Hold on.
You have to say allegedly.
Allegedly bogus.
You can't say that.
Oh,
No, don't say that.
it's not a home
It's
inspection.
called a
though.
walk and talk.
Yeah, it can be called that, but if you go in the Maryland Real Estate
I
Commission.
understand.
Okay,
Remember, I
then
took
it
the
is.
test. I
Okay,
know
So-
what
now
it
I'm
is.
talking about the
here's-
Maryland Real Estate Commission.
I'm
But we-
But it doesn't
I'm
matter.
saying,
But
okay.
here, let me say something since we're having a
I
talk.
listen to the Real Estate Commission.
You can listen to them, but it's your approach and how you deal with the people, and you cannot put certain information out there, or you will have a liability issue. That is the problem.
It's the way
It
you
is
say
it is the way you say things.
So it's a
because
walk and see. Is that
I don't do walk and talk and see, walking through
You won't do
see.
none of that.
I don't do that. You might,
I
your
don't,
person
I
might,
don't.
somebody else might. No, I'm just saying, general people might have had good luck with it or good situations. I don't entertain it because it's unlicensed and I'm a licensed person.
Right.
So it states that we're supposed to, if we understand that someone is unlicensed, recommend a licensed person and let them know the liability, what the rules are.
Correct.
Right.
That's
but
it.
the rule is, if I'm not mistaken, is
But the
that you can't
person
walk
can-
away. You can't walk away from your contract to sale if
Obligation.
you. That's right. If you did a walk and see with the unlicensed home inspector.
Correct.
So if you walk
Okay,
and
so I'm
see,
just saying.
hold on,
like, if we
let me
want
just
the
put
people
this
to know
there.
they can't walk away now.
they can walk and see. See, I don't deal with those. There's no gray in this area. So walk and see. If you're gonna walk and see the house, right? You have to have some contractual obligation to the property.
Correct.
So that means you've already been accepted and ratified at this point. If you're ratified, that gives you the option to walk and see with your walk and see person, and then your agent can still get you released because of the prop. You have certain amount of days to do your home inspection. If that person's licensed, unlicensed, your grandfather, or your uncle, and you see something that you're uncomfortable with, you can get out. You can write a release within that period of time for whatever that.
On the real estate commission.
Listen. I'm not fighting the real estate commission, nor am I fighting you. I'm not saying
An
anything incorrect.
unlicensed home inspector can't tell you that something's wrong. That person doesn't.
Okay,
know.
so let me ask you the difference. Have you ever been with a client and their mother, and the mother sees some water in the corner?
Yeah, but we didn't want
No,
to
hold
do
on,
all this
hold on. So this is an issue. If the mother suggested that was water in the corner, and she knew where it was coming from. The mother ain't never did home inspections ever. We deal with this stuff all the time. The mother ain't did a home inspection ever, and the mother has a house, and she had $10,000 worth of work done in her basement, and she know everything about water and everything. This is what goes on. So the mother said she ain't getting this house. I don't care what you say to anybody. The person doesn't have to buy the house. Now, there are other ways that they can get out of their contract within that first 5 days with them liking or disliking that house. You can say it's whatever you want to say on the real estate commission, but the bottom line is within that inspection period, they can get their agent to write a release due to unsatisfactory findings. Period.
I have to do some
Which
So
is
you're-
not against
No,
I'm saying the
that-
commission said an unlicensed person can't inspect.
I'm not asking an unlicensed or licensed person to inspect it right now. I'm telling you, can a person get out of contract within the first 10 days? If
Based
they
on
have
our new
accepted
as
it.
is contract, yes. But if they're asking for a home inspection period, then now they've introduced a home inspection into that. Otherwise, our contracts are as is now, without a home inspection, and then you have to add that property inspection addendum in there.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, can a person still get out of a contract?
With the home inspection by a licensed person, not because your mother walked through there on the third day and said, "Girl, it's water."
Okay.
No, because the person's gonna say, "Show me that home inspection report that says that it's water there," because you introduced the property inspection into the contract. Had you just did an as is and said, "You know what, 5 days, me and mommy walked through, mommy saw water," boom, you know what, if this is an as is contract anyway, we want to walk away, yes. But once you introduce that property inspection addendum, you have now opened up a whole new set to this contract sale.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to leave
The
it at
contract
that.
has changed. I mean, it's a different contract. Before it wasn't an as-is contract. Now they done changed it as of October the 1st, 2022. So now it's a whole different ballgame we're like playing. I mean, now you have to even check on the contract to sale that you want an inspection or decline an inspection. If you decline
That's
one,
very
I guess that's
important
when mine
because
is.
so many people were getting sued
Yes.
and bringing to the commission complaints because they claimed they didn't have the right to have an inspection. That's why the rules change. When stuff gets bad, they change the rules, even if it doesn't make sense, and then they revert it back. It's crazy because there's been some things that they didn't change and then change back. And there's some things that they shouldn't really even touch based on the consumer and the protection of the consumer. But there are a lot of things that, people take to the nth degree and use to their advantage. And these buyers sometimes don't do their due diligence. And because they pick a house in the neighborhood that their grandfather doesn't like, they want to get out of a contract. And your contractual obligation could let you lose your deposit for multiple reasons. But the home inspection is not one of those reasons that you can lose your deposit. It's a real good way to be released from your contract. And just realize that is one of the things that you can talk to your agent about. If you want a very experienced agent, there are two on the outside of me, including myself. So, but if you want experience, it's important that you do your research and don't just hire the latest, flyest internet real estate agent.
Well, let me say this too. You make me
Because
think
I have a
about-
problem with that too. So y'all can talk.
Who was the lady that you said taught you a tough lesson with dates? Remember you were saying you had with dates. You know how you said that 5 days
Faye
you did
Klein.
that home inspection. The
It was
sixth day
she
you
was
can't
90
go talk about nothing on
something.
the sixth day. If you don't do
So-
it, then you're
I work with older lady. She's now passed me. God rest her soul. But she wore me out on a contract, and financially she wore me out because of the dates. And I had nothing but respect for her. I had to go back and thank her probably a year later. I had got my emotions together, because at first I was pissed with her and I did not want to do no deals with her. But honey, when she runs Pikesville and that's your area, you're gonna learn to love her. You have some people that are marked in these areas, and if they've been there 50 years, they doing daughter, cousin, sister, brother-in-law, friend. They have done generations of real estate in that area, and Pikesville is very niche-y. And that's where I do a lot of business because that's the area that I came up in, like for real estate. So you just have to know your stuff.
Yes.
And I say this, and I implore you to do understand the agent that you're getting is at least they don't have to necessarily be experienced. Let them be more driven and understand the laws, because you can have a new agent that does well as well. I mean, I'm not going to say anything. I embrace new agents. I help them. I walk with them. We're all mentors. I don't take on all the people, honestly, because you have to have time and you have to have patience. And there's so many different dynamics of a real estate transaction that it takes a little bit more than 3 months, I think, to really teach somebody, you know. So, with that being said, I am a big picture person. I know my place. I have an assistant at all times because they pay attention to the details. Even though I am a big picture person, I understand the details. And that is the difference. We're not talking about just Pete, we're talking about all of us. Tonight, we really, I mean, covered this topic.
Yeah.
I feel like if you want some advice, definitely get a home inspection.
Yes. That was going to say.
Just get a home inspection.
The consensus is get a home inspection.
Yeah, and just understand who you hire. You must traditionally be married to for that period of time. You have to respect your agent. Don't ask 20 other agents questions. I think that's a challenge because we are all experts in our own right. Some of us, if they don't have the answer, you should send them to get the answer. I'm a little bit sensitive to how people are taking advantage of the situation with trying to buy houses without agents and selling houses without agents, and then they're the victim. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You either have to bite the bullet, and if you're a buyer, you don't have to worry about hiring an agent necessarily. And we can go deeper in that the next time, but it's important that you understand compensation and understand before you go out looking at any houses, you should do a consultation with your agent. Not, I'm gonna meet you at the house. You might get a courtesy if you're a Zillow client. You might get a courtesy meet at the house, but it is important that you don't skip the step of consultation, because what a consultation does, and I probably will dive into the consultation next time. It prepares you for the transaction and it takes you through the transaction to the end. It helps you understand what to expect. It's an expectation meeting. What you expect of the agent, what the agent expects of you. A lot of times, that is where the failure is, in the expectation and the communication. That is where you begin to not have these love-hate relationships for an agent, and you don't even understand why you're upset. You just know that they didn't answer their phone twice, and they didn't meet you at this property today at 4:00, but they had a settlement at 4. You know, you understand their dynamic and when they can take people out, when they can't. What is their schedule? How do you schedule with them? My agent, I don't make appointments. My assistant makes appointments. So while you're seeing homes and viewing homes, and that's the appointment person, because if I took appointments, you be coming at 4:00 and so will Alicia. I know my gift and I know my weakness.
And that's not it, right?
And that ain't it. Because I'm going to be late to one of them. And I'm going to tell both y'all to come. Because I'm trying to make everybody happy. I'm just being real. And I'm on the way. And I'm down the street. But I mean, you have to know you. And I know what kind of agent I am. I'm very thorough with my stuff. But I'm definitely going to try to help everybody. And that is a weakness and a challenge. And sometimes, if something just doesn't make sense, I will get an attitude. And I know we're not supposed to, but I do.
I do like the expectation meetings that you said, right? So let's just say you had this consultation with this person. And I'm only bringing this up because there's been several, I probably had at least 3 clients at least 3, if not 4, over the last 7 years that I've shown at least 50 houses to.
I'm not ever.
During the consultation, though, which is the expectation meeting, how
How do I do it?
well, no, how does that come about in the conversation?
Oh.
At some point, I'd shut that down.
No, I tell them
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, I mean,
This
I'm
is,
at the consultation. Like, how do you set up front? We ain't looking
I'm
at
a
the
lay
I
that.
don't never say
Let
what.
you talk first.
I don't ever say I'm not going to look at XYZ amount of houses
I'll
because
say
you don't know
I
what
mean,
that's going to turn into. But at some point, like the client, one of my clients I have under contract now, we went on this roller coaster for 8 months. So we had, like, I spoke to her, the lender spoke to her, and she finally admitted that she was listening to someone else, which was her mom.
I might
So-
lose a client at that point.
Correct. So at that point, I completely pulled back. Like, enough is enough. We not going to keep doing this. I'm not an agent that's going to keep writing offers that I clearly know when I'm writing it that we're not going to win because you, as the
Didn't listen.
client, you're not listening. And again, I don't like to use that word like people are children, but in essence, that's what it is. And she even admitted to me, "Oh, I'm gonna listen the next time." She said that. So
Clients
she
will
knew.
come. They
She
self-discover.
knew.
I-
But
how
when
did
the
you?
next
How did you?
I help people
How
self-discover
did you
early.
stop? How did you say to her, "Okay, listen"?
You want-
'cause now
No,
we're
we
not
had
playing this
we
game.
had this conversation. After that we lost the first one, and she messaged me and was like, "Why did I lose the house?" I said, "Well, the house literally sold for $10,000 over, and you didn't bid $1." Meaning, without coming out saying, "I told you up front that this was not a viable offer." I let what it went under contract for speak for itself.
Self-discover.
Right. So when we went out, of course, she was upset. So she was always not that great at answering and responding and all of those things. So we went out again.
Can I ask you a question?
Look-
Why are we going through all of these challenges with people that want to buy a home? Let me just say this. This is not everybody's demographic, and this is not everybody's way of doing things. It is imperative that that client is committed to that transaction just as much as you are,
Correct.
and they are committed to their house. Because here's the thing. This is our career.
Correct.
Like, this is not a job.
Right.
We're not
Once
coming to
she-
make,
right.
we're not
Once-
coming from 4 to 6 and go home.
Right. After she lost the second one, and
We gonna get the-
when she went to fast forward, she went to place another offer in the same community that she had been trying to get in. And I said to her, the lender's out of town, so she's going to be a little bit slower at responding, trying to get our property specific letter in to get this offer. This was Saturday afternoon. I said, so you need to make a decision pretty much like now. Like, we don't have this, I need to wait. We don't have that. Literally, she called me within like an hour. By the time I went to message the lender, the house was under contract. So of course she's heartbroken again.
Yes.
But again, this is another lesson. I wasn't upset about it because I needed her to see and learn this. I needed you to see what I'm trying to say to you. So fast forward, another come up in the same community a couple weeks later. Now, mind you, she took a break. I'm upset, but you upset with yourself because you literally aren't listening to my advice. So she took a break. Fast forward, one comes up. Great.
Or they might go out with another
Right.
agent.
Let's jump on it.
Let's just be real.
So
They called me.
fast forward, right? I got one of the phone calls out there. So fast forward, another property come up in the same community. Let's jump on this, like right now. So look here, we not playing
We
this.
doing, right?
This what we not doing. So at that point, I kind of jumped on her. The lender jumped on her while we was doing the offer. Like, we not doing this. Enough is enough. Either you're gonna place a decent offer or I'm not writing it. And finally, she let me write the offer the way I knew we would get accepted. And guess what? We fixing to close in another week or two. We on our way to the closing table.
Good.
And she finally said, almost like, I see now. But had she not been listening, because I finally said to her, we need to have a conversation with me, you, and your mama, because you're listening to your mother. And she said, I see that it's not working. I said, right. Mama don't always know best. And in this case, mama don't know.
Yeah.
And she finally said, well, what my mom is telling me it's not working. I said, no, sugar, it's not. But of course, trying to still have that diplomatic
Absolutely, 'cause
persona,
you can't.
because I don't want to come right out and say, tell your mama call me, because we need to have a whole conversation. But what I did say was, baby, your mama not advising you right. This is not 25 years ago, is what I did say. And she finally said, I see.
Yeah.
Because all along, she had been listening to her mother, to the point where I pulled back from her, and Linda pulled back, and it was like, when you ready, you let us know, because I can't keep clearing my schedule to fit your schedule, and this is what we're going to end up with. So yes, it does happen.
So all you buyers out there, y'all hear how much we care about you and how we go above and beyond and how we don't get paid until we make it to settlement. And so every ride that we go on and every property that we go and see and every offer we write and lose and every
Offer we write and
time,
don't get.
right, and every moment we spend on the phone talking about things outside of real estate and talking you off the ledge and talking mama off the ledge and helping babysit and sitting outside and waiting when you're late and whatever else. Just know that we do that because we care. So hopefully
Correct.
you will show the same care to your agent no matter who it is. You should show some care to your agent because we do work hard and we don't always get paid. And sometimes we work hard. I've worked with people for 8-9 months. We never bought a house. Everybody got fatigued and we just stopped working together. And that was 8 or 9 months
Of
of
loss.
just
I'm not doing 20 houses. Let's talk about that. I'm not showing.
well, when we get to 20, what you gonna do?
So let me tell you what I did. In the beginning, I said, in my expectation meeting, you want central air, correct? So we need to take all the houses that don't have it off. You want a driveway, okay? They're only, by the time I said, now you might find your best 5 and we need to get out there immediately. Everything that you could possibly want, you need to find in your best 5. That helps them. And I said, don't be worried about a myth that if I find it the first time, no, that means I did my job.
That's right.
That means we did our search properly. So don't worry about if it's the first house or the 10th house. It's the house.
Yeah.
When you walk in and get the feel like, oh,
Yep.
this is it. When you get that, that's the house. I don't care if it was number 1 or number 9.
Correct.
But I'm not showing 25 houses and 30 and 50 and all that.
Cut that
'cause
off, 'cause
I'm-
clearly there's some
I'm
expectation.
clearly-
Some
So
listen.
what
Now
I
you-
say,
now you're looky look.
so now what I
Now we
say,
having fun.
what I need you to
Stay
do,
still.
y'all go home, both of y'all, husband and wife, wife and wife, husband and wife, and all of that. All of them, all 3 of them, whatever it is, all of them. Go home.
Let's have this conversation.
You look at your list and create it. You look at your list, separate of him, and create it. Then you come together. Y'all pick the best 7. That's normally what I say, 7. Because I'm not going to get all 7. 9 times out of 10, 2 of them already sold. We're going to probably end up with 4. And then I'm going to have to go out again the next day. But by that second time, let me tell you, Pete, most of the time I got them under contract. Or we wrote an offer, and if they're listening, if they don't listen, I allow them self-discover. You want to write 50 offers? Chris is going to be mad, but I'm not going to be upset. Chris is going to be upset, but he's going to write the offer. But I don't see how upset he is. He might mumble or anything, but I won't know. We got another offer. I sent over the details.
They gonna have to leave Chris alone.
And that, so here's the deal. It is imperative. That's why I do things the way I do it, so that they know how important it is to make the decision when you find the house. And you can sleep on it, but this is not a time that you can sleep on it long. This is not a more than,
30-minute nap.
this is not even a 30-minute nap. You will have a contract and it will be ratified within the time that we showed up at the property and the time y'all got home. It's
Right.
ratified. And I called to get disclosure this thing because every agent's not putting them on the system. That's a whole nother day. That's a whole nother time. But I gotta call the agent to get the disclosure disclaimers to write an offer on a house that was pretty much sold, and they let me go show it.
Correct.
They did not say, "Oh, P, we have 3 possibles.
Right.
You got to get it in by 7."
Right.
They didn't do that. So at times, you have this expectation that you shouldn't have. Let me say, of other people's work ethic. The bottom line is be considerate of other people whenever you do business for the way that you do business. Because I'm not saying that it doesn't matter to me that we don't get paid until closing and we drive around 100 places. I'm not driving, but we drive around and all of that. It takes a lot that goes into a real estate transaction. And until you go through hard times in a real estate transaction as a buyer, you will not understand the importance of the transaction. You won't respect the transaction.
Yeah, I like respect.
You won't respect our job or our career. You won't respect.
We go to bat for you in these transactions.
So if you don't respect or understand it, it is important that you do know that your agent is working on your behalf and your best interests. And if that agent is not doing that, or you have a misunderstanding of what their representation is to you, you need to have a meeting with your agent. And then if you guys are not a match, because you could not just be a match. There's been people, I literally said, well, you can work with or let me show you, we're not a match. If you are alpha male and just rigid, and I might not be the one, but your wife might like me. Like, it just depends on personalities. And I'm not too scared to let a transaction go because God is my source, not man. God will pay my bills, not a man, not a transaction. God will allow something to work out for me.
And I will say this to buyers. It is painful when we do let you go for you, because a lot of y'all don't believe that we do it. And then when we do, we do it politely.
You try to come back sometimes.
I know, but we do it politely, but it's painful because you think, from the ones that I've let go, I think because I always go above and beyond, they just knew they had me forever. And as soon as I'm like, you know what, this ain't gonna work, and they're like, what? And I run it down, and I say, you know what? Because I say in my buyer broker agreement, we can split immediately. Either person can do it.
Mine ain't.
Mine do. Because
Okay.
I'm going to tell
2
you
weeks
why.
to 4 weeks.
Oh no!
No, I
Like,
think 5.
2 weeks in writing,
I do
10 days.
I
do
do
what?
3 days.
I do.
Okay, I
just do 3 days.
I used to do that, but I used to have
need to not
people.
be holding on.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me
I want
say
the
this.
rest.
Let me just explain this. What happens when they go under contract with the same house with somebody else that you show?
That's down into it. That's down into in your
90 days.
Right.
I understand that, but I'm letting you know.
Mine says 14 days
Okay.
in that section, but how we break up, we can break up immediately, but
Right.
14, you got 14 days grace period before you go putting something in
And
that
so
I
you got-
showed you.
Oh, so that's good for you. I do 90.
He does 2 weeks
I do
too.
90.
I do 14.
I do 90
right?
days.
Yeah,
Because it's gonna be gone.
it's gonna be gone. Right, exactly. But they always like, what? I'm girl, you free. You're free.
So y'all see, we clearly have different methods of doing business. Like, it's not a right or a wrong way.
Exactly. That's right.
It is a choice.
Absolutely.
But my whole thing is, when I've been doing this since 1999, licensed 2004, working with residential real estate. So that's a very long time. That is coming up on my 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it a long time. So the bottom line is, I can't.
I did
Maybe
2 weeks too, but
No, it's fine.
Everybody do something different.
Yours is fine. I'm not judging yours. Mine is because my I've been in this business a long time. I might not have the patience a 7-year person has.
that's true.
I might not have that. Like, I've been through a lot of different kind of stuff, a lot of different markets, a lot of different understandings, a lot of different racist stuff. I've been through a lot. So my patience is not probably built for that. So we probably just not gonna work together. But it's okay. No love lost. But I'll do a goddamn good job for you. And I know what I'm talking about.
Now,
You know.
I can't take one person bad because I won't say where he worked, but he was like $4,000 or whatever, and that was fine. But he told me that I was costing him to lose houses because he would contact me at noon and say, "Can we go see this at 1?" No, we can't.
Expectation.
Was already set. I need 24 hours.
I don't need 24
Well,
hours,
I do
but
because I'm not.
I'm gonna do it when I can do it. If I can fit you
And
in,
something Right, last time last Friday, like it had literally just hit the market. Like I was in class, the house had literally just hit the market. She got an alert. She texted me and was like, "Hey, can we see this?" I looked it up. I was like, "I'm in class. Give me a second." Looked it up. Jumped on showing time. Got the appointment. Left Hanover. Ran up there. Ran to Ricestown, and we just settled about 2 weeks ago. So if I have it in my schedule, I don't need 24 hours.
Me
It's
either.
just a schedule.
But she
thing.
does.
But I do, because what I'm doing, I'm molding you. Don't you call me?
But
Don't
if
keep
it-
calling me
but-
at 12.
but
But
it-
1 o'clock.
Correct, but in like my case, if it just hit the market and you've been missing offers, like you just
So
gotta roll.
I'm gonna say this: to each his own. We all have different methods of how we do things, but having
My clients love it.
great support, you'll definitely be able to settle on the house of your dreams, of your choice. We do want you to be happy. I'm Pete France. We have enjoyed this evening.
Marcia Cephas, EXP Realty.
Alicia Thomas, EXP.
MoveInBaltimore.com. That's how you can get me. MoveInBaltimore.com. And we're signing out. Enjoy, you guys, and hope to see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.